mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic.
Hey everybody, welcome back to One Mic, where I watch shit so you don't have to. And today I'm here to talk about Season 5, Episode 6 of FX's Snowfall, entitled The Iliad Part Two. I'm just going to start by patting myself on the back. I gave my prediction on who I thought was after the Saint crew. I was right about that. Pretty cool scene, I think, to end the episode. I liked this guy that's playing Kane. He looks familiar, but I didn't think to look him up. I feel like I've seen him in some other stuff, but I like this guy that's playing Kane. I thought that was a pretty cool scene, although it does still strike me as weird that, one, they, for some reason, knew exactly where to find him after he's been in jail for however long he's been in jail. But even if you go, okay, well, this guy, he used to be a coach, maybe before he got locked up, he probably went back to his team. Let's go to where the team practices, whatever. But it was also kind of weird the way the conversation went, because I would think that you probably talk a little bit less reckless, referring to Franklin, when you are surrounded by this guy and his people. Like, it just seemed weird. Like, they walked up as if this wasn't a guy who tried to kill them. They stroll up and they have a conversation with the guy. Franklin gets a little bit mouthy, and I don't know. I feel like that wasn't the wisest move in the world when you're surrounded by this guy who tried to kill you and has no qualms about trying again, and you're also surrounded by his people. I think maybe, though, I can take away from that scene to feel better about it is the fact that they were at a team that he coaches, a bunch of kids. So that's probably the reason that they went to that specific place and why nothing really popped off, because they weren't going to do anything in front of the kids. So I can buy that. But still, it was a cool conversation. Looks like this guy's going to continue to be a problem. It's weird to introduce the problem in episode 6, but that's what I said last week. They're taking a long time to kind of like introduce a primary antagonist. It looks like this is who it's going to be. Yeah, I don't know. I'm intrigued to see what they're gonna do with him to make him, especially to make him comparable to last season's primary antagonist, Scully, Man-Boy. Like, that last season was so good, and it's a weird position to put this actor and this character to try to top or at least match what they did last season with their primary antagonist. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with this guy, see if they can make him as entertaining as Scully and Man-Boy, but I guess we'll see. Having said that, I didn't like this episode at all, and there's a lot to not like. I can't necessarily say that I don't like the pair of episodes collectively, which is generally how I would look at a part 1 and part 2. I look at them as one single solitary episode, but the intrigue of what is happening here with the multiple hit attempts saved that episode. And it made that episode one of the more interesting episodes of the season. Because I'm like, oh, wow, this is really taking a turn. And I don't know where it's going, how it's going this way. Like, that was all really intriguing. This episode had a lot of problems that kind of continued on with the problems that I overlooked for the first part. Without that intrigue of who is this that's trying to kill these people, and you're thinking like, this episode had the intrigue of them still trying to find that person, but this was lessened by it's just them trying to find that person, as opposed to with us last week, it was us watching it like, who is doing this? But for the characters, all the characters were put in danger. Like, I'm watching the scene. I don't know if Sissy's going to get shot. I don't know if Veronique's going to get shot. I don't know if Avi, Leon's going to get shot. I don't know. So, like, for me, I'm watching these characters in these scenes, and I'm like, oh, man, this is crazy. What's happening? Who's doing this? Anybody could die at any moment. It's exhilarating. You remove all of what makes it exhilarating, and you're left with a lot of the shit that just made that wasn't that good last week and was even worse this week. I didn't like this episode at all, and there's a few things I didn't like about it, and we're going to talk about those. So, the first thing and the biggest issue that I have with both of these episodes collectively is everything involving that tiger. The tiger itself is cool. Like, it's cool to see them. Like, how are they going to escape this situation with this tiger? But this show to this point has been very grounded. and it's felt very realistic and very true to life. Being captured by a taxidermist who has their like that shit was so fucking left field, and it was so weird, and it was pointless because okay, let's walk through this. Let's talk this out. Let's say after all the hits take place, or attempted hits, I should say, take place, Franklin and Gustavo, they escape their situation with the money. They have the run-in with the gang or whatever. The gang chases them. They hide in that crawl space. Now let's just say they spend overnight in the crawl space to be safe and to come out like after enough time has passed, and say it's now daylight, whatever. They stay in the crawl space overnight. You have the same problems as far as like how their absence impacts others that you do even given the tiger scenario. So if we remove the tiger scenario and let's say they stay in the crawl space overnight and then they go home and they return to their people, how did the tiger scene impact that result? It didn't. Like, you remove the tiger completely and you end up in the same place with Franklin, with everybody wondering where Franklin and Gustavo are, with them returning and then going on about the business of finding who did the hit attempt. So what the fuck was the point of the fucking tiger? And it took me out of the episode because even though it was cool to watch, I'm sitting here like, this doesn't fit in with Snowfall. Like, why is this fucking tiger here? And what is the point of this scene? And I'm thinking it's gonna have a point. And then once everything with the tiger was completed, they're riding the car with Jerome and Leon, and they see the tiger walking in the street. And Franklin and Gustavo look at each other, and I swear on my life, I was like, if these motherfuckers smile at each other, like it's some goddamn, like it's fucking Friends or some shit, like oh, remember the tiger? Like, what the fuck was that? Like, it was so fucking weird. And then even logistically, how the fuck did the tiger get out to kill the gangsters when Franklin returned? Because the cage was in two parts with a divider in between. And Gustavo put his belt along where the divider would rise up at so that dude couldn't crank it open. So after they dispose of him and his leg gets bit off, whatever, and that was weird too. I'm like, man, the tiger tore his leg off. But whatever, it was off for shock, whatever. The tiger is preoccupied eating this guy's leg. Gustavo takes the belt off, pulls the divider up so that Franklin can crawl under and grab the key. Franklin comes out. He drops the divider back down, and then Franklin unlocks the door on their side of the cage, and they leave. Franklin returns, and now the tiger's out. How the fuck did the tiger get out? It was such an unnecessary addition to that whole sequence. Like I said, you remove it, it changes nothing. It was an unnecessary addition that they didn't even do well. Because I'm sitting here like, well, how the fuck did that? And I rewound it. So trust me, this is this is bullshit. I rewound it to make sure. I'm like, well, maybe he didn't put the divider back down. Nope, he put the divider back down, and somehow the tiger got out. And I can't get over, one, how sloppy that was to have that tiger be free, but also the complete and total pointlessness of the tiger in the first place. Again, cool sequence, cool scene, but completely and totally pointless, and it didn't fit at all with the tone of this show. So, yeah, fuck that tiger thing, man. That was just weird for the sake of weird, man. And then, while we're talking about weird for the sake of weird, Parissa, what is her point? I'm sure we're going to get there at some point, but right now she's just a fucking weirdo who gets off on seeing Teddy hurt. And then we have this scene where he asks her what she wants, and she kisses him. She says, I've wanted to do that since Tehran. And then she said, maybe that's what I want. I'm like, are you saying, do you want him, or you want to, like, go on his missions with him? Like, for, like, exhilaration, I guess? I don't know. But that's weird. And she's not a very interesting character. I don't know what her point is. Like, just throwing this character into the middle of an already established storyline. Because, like, we were sitting with Teddy having worked his way back into the States, working his way back into his old job, the idea of Franklin trying to figure out what happened to Alton. You remember that? What happened to Alton? Yeah, the show forgot too. The show completely forgot about that and introduced this girl. And now we spent 2 episodes with Teddy doing jack shit. And we're sitting here watching him with this weird fucking character. And his storyline, his everything with Teddy came to a screeching halt in these 2 episodes. And I'm sitting here watching this motherfucker clean up his fucking blood with headphones on. I'm like, what the fuck is she? What is the point of this? Like, it's another thing where it's just, I don't know. It just seems like bad decision making that this show doesn't generally do. And I don't understand why you would pull Teddy out of the heat of Franklin discovering that Teddy was watching him. Franklin still wanted to know what's up with Alton. We need to know what's up with Alton, what happened to Alton, since Teddy's firmly denying it. That clash is the direction that we were going in, and then we go on this complete side tangent with this fucking weird character who masturbates to him being bloody and who, like, vaguely says what she wants. I don't know. I'm not here for Parissa. I'm not here for this. Like I said, we've wasted 2 episodes. If it was interesting, or if it, and I'm sure it probably is going somewhere, but if it was interesting, I'd care less than I do right now. But the reason I'm so irritated is because we were going somewhere interesting with Teddy, and now his storyline has come to a screeching halt for 2 episodes, just so we can meet this Parissa character. Couldn't they have done this in, like, I don't know, 2 scenes, something like that? I don't know. But yeah. Another thing I didn't like about this episode, and this is when I'm comparing it to the first part of this, the tiger was present in part 1, Parissa was present in part 1, but the intrigue of is anyone important gonna die? Who is doing these hits? All of that, the exhilarating aspect of that overshadowed these other things, which we spent less time on because the tiger's not introduced to the final scene. Parissa's only there for 1 scene, so it's like, you've got not enough of those 2 things to be bothered, and then you also have it overshadowed by cool shit. Without the cool shit in this episode, all you're left with is the shittiness of the tiger situation and Parissa, and we spend more time with each in this episode. Well, maybe not more time with Parissa. Maybe it's about even, but definitely more time with the fucking tiger shit. So yeah, not a big fan. Also, what was the again? I almost feel like I should almost like apologize for saying that this show doesn't waste a scene. This episode wasted a lot of fucking scenes, man. Like, okay, what was the point of Veronique and Sissy having the conversation where she talks about having grown up as a con artist? I can't even say it without laughing because I'm sitting here like, this is such a fucking stupid conversation. He's like, yeah, I used to go to the circus and and learn all the fucking carny tricks. Like, what the fuck is this? Like, this is ridiculous. I mean, like, I guess the idea is for Sissy to convince her, which she ultimately ended up doing, to get out of this life of crime. But you didn't even need that scene. Like, it's not until right now that I'm thinking, okay, maybe that scene in concert with when Sissy says, this attack on this, your kid could have died. This is gonna happen again, whether it's from the government or it's from gangsters, whatever. This is gonna happen again. That alone is satisfactory enough for me. If Veronique goes, all right, I'm out, I was like, okay, well, yeah, I buy that. Like, Sissy, Franklin's mother told you, this ain't gonna be the first time your kid's life is put in danger. All right, I buy that she would leave. What do we need the fucking circus conversation for? Man, oh gosh. And this episode had me fucked up, man. So another thing I didn't like, I'm just gonna keep going. It finally got. I've been not liking this about him, and it finally got called out in universe. But it still irritates me. It irritates me when Gustavo is constantly speaking Spanish to people who don't speak Spanish. And he does it unnecessarily. Like, he'll say something in Spanish and then say it again in English, but like to somebody who don't speak Spanish. So what the fuck was the point of saying it in Spanish in the first fucking place? Like what was the point of that? He'll like mix, he'll do like a Spanglish kind of thing where like he'll say a sentence with like half the words in English or half the words in Spanish, whatever. I don't understand why he is constantly speaking Spanish to people who don't speak Spanish, and they don't put up a fucking subtitles for it. They did in this episode for the parts that they wanted us to know, but he does it so much that it's like, okay, when you do put up the subtitles, it makes me think like, okay, what he's saying now is important. But then it makes me reflect on all the times he spoke Spanish and they didn't put it up. And again, what was the fucking point? Like, because now you're telling me that, now you are telling me that it wasn't important because you didn't put subtitles up. So he's talking Spanish for no reason. Like, no reason. He's not talking to anybody who can speak Spanish, and we don't even gain anything from it as viewers because they don't put the fucking subtitles up. So why the fuck is he talking Spanish? And then Franklin goes, I don't speak fucking Spanish. I'm like, thank you. Man, I'm so tired of this motherfucker talking Spanish all the time for no reason. That's what bothers me, man. I'm so glad that Franklin called it out because that's been driving me nuts. And then when Franklin said it, I'm like, okay, now I'm gonna talk about this in the video now because this shit is out of hand. Because especially in this specific episode, he did it a lot. Like he had a full-on Spanish conversation with this guy, and they put up subtitles for like 2 sentences. And I'm just like, what is the point of this shit, man? All these people in this room speak English. Why the fuck is he talking Spanish? And then the show's telling me that whatever he's saying ain't fucking important because they ain't put the fucking subtitles up. Ooh, boy. Man, man, I'm turned up. All right, so the last thing that I didn't like about this episode, who's the motherfuckers that Jerome beat up? Like, maybe I'm forgetting these people, and maybe you guys know who they are, and you can tell me. But they have these 2, to me, unfamiliar faces pop up, and Louis like, basically like keep your ear to the streets, for, who did this hit. And they're like, what about the drop? I'm sitting here like, what drop? Who the fuck are you? And he's like, Trey, want to know about the drop? Who the fuck is Trey? Like, I'm sitting there like, what is this episode doing right now? Like, man, this episode fucking sucks. Oh my goodness. I go, if you guys know who Trey is and who them 2 guys are, feel free to enlighten me in the comments. All the other shit I said is valid, but like, I don't if I'm wrong about not knowing who these guys are, and we are supposed to know who these guys are, that's my bad, but I don't know who the fuck those guys are. And Jerome beat the shit out of that guy. That was the best scene of the episode, actually, when Jerome beat the shit out of that guy. So, yeah, I don't really have much to add. Like, I didn't like anything about this episode. Like, I mean, I thought the escaping the tiger shit was interesting, because I'm like, how the fuck are they going to get out of this? But, yeah, that was it. And like I said, the whole tiger situation is pointless anyway. So, like, it's like, yeah, it was entertaining, but I was more frustrated that it was even there in the first place. And then once the episode was over, I'm looking back like, what the fuck was the point of the tiger shit? Like, they could have just, like, if you just cut that out and they leave from the crawl space and go back to them, it's like, yeah, they don't go on this fucking tiger adventure, but now the tiger adventure looks so fucking, like, nothing came out of it. The only way that can even kind of sort of matter is if those same Mexican gangsters or whatever come back. The ones that are alive. Well, they didn't kill none of them, did they? Yeah, so, like, the guy that Franklin left in the trunk, like, if he comes back around, then I can look at the tiger scene and be like, okay, well, I guess the tiger scene was kind of necessary. No, tiger scene, no, because we were introduced to those guys before. Those guys are the reason they were in the crawl space in the first place. So nope, that doesn't even make the tiger scene relevant. So yeah, fuck the tiger scene. I will say this: I do still stand by my statement that Peaches is not a traitor. I think I said that either he was, I don't know, I can't remember if I said it or not last week, that he might have been like captured, and that's how whoever it is got information, or if I just thought it. If I didn't say it, I'm not gonna claim it. If he was, if Kane coerced Peaches at gunpoint to give up info, something like that. If that's what happened, I'm not going to claim that I was right unless I did say that in last week's video, and I'm not going to go back and watch it to see. So if one of you in the comments could let me know. But I still think Peaches had nothing to do with this at all. And the reason for that is, one, they're leaning really hard into the idea that Peaches, actually, it's not even an idea anymore. They flat out asked Kane, like, so did, and that's another clue too. They say, so did Peaches come to you or did you come to him? And dude laughs it off and changes the subject. So they didn't even answer that question. So that's number one, why you should think Peaches ain't got nothing to do with this. Number two, the fact that they, again, leaned in so heavily to him being sick in the first 3-4 episodes or whatever, the fact that they leaned into that so heavily, he's definitely got some kind of illness. And I think that's going to be tied into his absence and not, say, him being held at gunpoint or something like that. So, lots of reason. And then Peaches has been loyal as fuck. There's no reason that Peaches would, like, just all of a sudden, for no reason, decide that he's going to betray the Saint family and get away with it. Like, I don't know. I think that Peaches, like I said, they can't find Peaches. He's probably in the fucking hospital because he probably got too sick. He's probably in the hospital, which they would never think to look. He's probably in the hospital. And then maybe like that money that they think Peaches stole, and Franklin's like, only 2 people knew about it, and I'm one of them. So I guess we're meant to assume Peaches is the other one. That could have been, just like I said, that Kane probably had people staking out where they were at. Kane could have had somebody who was staking out that house and found it. Or, and somebody mentioned this in the comments for last week's video, and it wasn't accurate in the way that this person said it, but I think this person could still matter. They said that they thought the person who was behind the hit attempts on everybody was the dude that Franklin said something like, "What the fuck you looking at?" to that one guy who was just looking at him while he was talking. It was like episode 2 or something like that. I don't know why I'm assuming it was a woman. I feel like it was a woman's name that put the comment, but she said she thought it was that dude. Now, obviously, we know it was Kane, but that scene is another kind of something that you don't do for no reason. Like, they're not just gonna be like, hey, let me just write in Franklin just randomly seeing some guy looking at him and getting pissed off. No, it matters. And I wonder if that guy is the one who stole the money from that house. Like, I think like he might be working for Kane, he might be working for himself, but maybe that guy is the one who's keeping an eye out, and he was, followed somebody to this spot or overheard them talking about it, whatever, or overheard Franklin talking about it on the phone, or overheard him and Peach, whatever. I feel like that guy has something to do with this missing money. So, I think Peaches is still completely in the clear. Oh, and the third point is that the show is leaning so heavily into it being Peaches, and going so far as directly ask about Peaches, that makes me think it has nothing to do with Peaches. So 1, they're leaning into it too hard. 2, they leaned into him being sick too hard for me to believe that he was just regular sick, and that all of a sudden he would inexplicably just start doing shit like this. And then 3, the fact that Kane doesn't even answer them when they ask. So I'm gonna wrap this one up. I didn't expect to be shitting on this episode for 23 minutes, but I will see you guys next week for episode 7. Peace.